Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. I would like to start the session with a nice quote. What is today's quote? It takes more intelligence to listen than to speak. Usually people think it is the other way. People think it takes more intelligence to speak than to listen. No, actually it is the other way. It takes more intelligence. You got to be more intelligent to listen than to speak. A very useful quote, especially when it comes to learning. Do remember, it takes more intelligence to listen than to speak. While speaking, I can see this side, that side, still I can continue with my speech. But I cannot do the same thing when it comes to listening. Listening, you got to be very attentive, you got to be very intelligent. Only then you can grasp whatever the speaker says. Now let us go to today's editorial. Today's editorial is all about vaccine to children, and it starts with a negative word, being done in haste. So entire editorial talks about a particular organization being hasty against the backdrop of providing vaccine to children. Not too many words, about 10 to 12 words, and many of these words are familiar because already we have done many editorials related to COVID-19 vaccine, all these. How does it start? In haste. In haste, there is one word, haste. This is a negative word. What does it mean? Excessive speed or urgency of movement or action. You can also say do something in haste means do something in a hurry. And there's a popular saying or a proverb based on this particular word, but not the same form. What is it? Haste makes waste. Don't try to do things in haste. Haste makes waste. So don't try to hurry up things. Take your own time, not own sweet time, but you should not do things in a hurry. What is the main idea of this editorial? India could have waited for evidence or benefit of vaccinating all children. As I said, this editorial starts on a negative note and it's all about doing something in haste. So, what is the main idea? India could have waited. Whatever you see in green, grammar related, I hope the letters are clear. India could have waited. What is the function of the helping verb could have, verb past participle form? Could have waited. We use this pattern to talk about something, a past possibility means what? Something was to happen but did not happen. Then we use this pattern. One typical example, I could have come in time. They could have won the match. She could have done it. So here could have waited for evidence. They did not wait. So this particular pattern. India could have waited for evidence or benefit of vaccinating all children. Instead of waiting, they have done in haste something related to vaccination, obviously. We also say don't be hasty. The emergency use authorization, EUA, granted on April 26 to two COVID-19 vaccines, Covivax for children between 5 and 11 years and Covaxin for children between 6 and 11 years, is one more instance where the Indian drug regulator acted in haste. As I said, this starts with a negative word. It is all about being hasty. And in this context, you have to ask the question, who has been hasty or who has done, which organization has done something in haste? The answer for that question, Indian drug regulator. So this sentence talks about Indian drug regulator acting in haste. And acting in haste related to what? Yes, acting, doing something in haste related to what? It is related to vaccines. Two vaccines. One is Covivax for children between 5 and 11, and the other one, Covaxin for children between 6 and 11 years. So this sentence talks about the same idea, a reiteration of the same idea, main idea of the editorial. The emergency use authorization, there are three letters, EUA, granted on April 26 to two COVID-19 vaccines. Again, I said this is all about vaccines and being in haste when it comes to vaccination. What are those two vaccines? Covivax and Covaxin. It is one more instance. There's one more word over here. Instance, what does it mean? A particular situation, event, or fact. Incident, you can say, event or incident, where the Indian drug regulator, the main accused, Indian drug regulator has acted in haste. Even if the EUA granted to Covaxin in January 2021, despite no safety and efficacy data of the phase 3 trial is condoned as a desperate measure in ensuring greater vaccine availability. The regulator clearly has no fig leaf to defend the green lighting of the vaccines for children at this stage. This talks about what happened in 2021. That time there was some sort of excuse. To some extent, the regulator could justify, but now at this stage, it cannot justify the act. That is the reason why the word haste has been used. But there are a few words you have to learn. Only then you can understand the meaning of this particular lengthy sentence. Even if the EUA granted to Covaxin in January 2021, despite use for contrasting information, despite no safety and efficacy data, without safety and efficacy data, they got the, it was granted and they got the approval. Efficacy, there's one word. What does it mean? The ability to produce a desired or intended result. It goes with medicine, usually drugs. Efficacy data of the phase 3 trial is condoned. Another important. Condone means accept behavior that is considered morally wrong or offensive. An important word we have got for the first time. And condoned as a desperate measure, excused as a desperate measure. Desperate, another important word, having a great need or desire for something. So, way back in 2021, the granted to Covaxin, the permission granted to Covaxin in January 2021, in spite of the fact, despite no safety and efficacy data of the phase 3 trial, is condoned, means accepted, excused as a desperate measure, desperate, badly in need of something, in ensuring greater vaccine availability. That was the intention, so it was excused. The regulator clearly has no fig leaf. This is a new word, new expression. Fig leaf, something that hides something else. To defend the green lighting, this is also we have got for the first time. Green lighting, give permission to go ahead with a project. Green lighting of the vaccines for children at this stage. In a nutshell, the sentence talks about way back in 2021 January, it got the permission without safety and efficacy data, and to some extent acceptable and can be justified. But at this stage, not at all acceptable, cannot be justified. Not exactly wrong in a way because of the situation to make the vaccine available. They did not wait for phase 3. Justified, not wrong, something that could be justified. Evidence from across the world after the deadly Delta variant and the extremely transmissive Omicron variant has shown that here this talks about the variants, impact of the variants on children. Evidence from the world, across the world, an important phrase, after the deadly means causing huge damage, deadly disease, and fatal also you can recollect the word fatal. Deadly Delta variant and the extremely transmissive Omicron variant has shown that unlike adults, children in general and little children, this is a bit surprising. We say children, this is a new expression, little children in particular do not suffer from severe disease. They have their own immunity. Sentence, talk, Sentence talks about the two variants, the impact of these two variants, based on the evidence from across the world. Unlike adults, an important word, a grammar point of view, unlike adults, children in general and little children in particular do not suffer from severe disease. That means what? They have their own immunity. The ICMR's fourth seroprevalence survey. This is a technical term. What does it mean? The level of a pathogen in a population as measured in blood serum. Seroprevalence survey June July 2021, soon after the second wave peaked nationally, found that 57.2% of children between 6 and 9 years and 61.6% of children between 10 and 17 years were infected by SARS-CoV-2 virus. Seroprevalence among adults was 66.7%. They were infected, but the impact was not severe. Since vaccination of adolescents, I'm sure you guys know the word adolescence. Adolescent of a young person in the process of developing from a child into an adult. Adolescent, usually we use the expression teenage. What is teenage? 13 to 19. That is a stage, neither a kid nor an adult, the transformation stage. Since vaccination of adolescents began only in early January 2022, the antibodies detected in children in mid 2021 were only from infection by the virus. That means what? They had natural immunity. The extremely infectious Omicron variant would have infected an even larger percentage of children. 2021, they were not vaccinated children, but they had the antibodies. What could be the reason? The reason, natural immunity. The extremely infectious Omicron variant would have infected an even larger percentage of children, but because of natural immunity, the impact was not severe. Yet, used to express a contrast, yet the number of severe cases and deaths in children between 5 and 11 years has been very low. This is the main idea. The editorial talks about the regulator being hasty. One of the reasons, lack of data, one thing, and also natural immunity found among children. And to substantiate that, this particular sentence talks about that. Yet the number of severe cases and deaths, neither severe cases nor deaths. The number, again, grammar point of view, very important. It takes a singular verb. The number of severe cases and deaths in children between 5 and 11 years has been very low. True, with schools reopening, children could be at greater risk, possibility less chances of contracting infection. But with natural infection found to offer protection across age groups, India could have waited for validation of the available evidence on the vaccines for children. The same idea, the main idea is being reiterated. This talks about natural immunity among children, but with natural infection found to offer protection across age groups, India could have waited, the main idea, for validation. One important word, validation. The action of checking or proving the validity or accuracy of something. In this context, the vaccines, need for vaccines, of the available evidence on the vaccines for children, not required as such at this stage. Unlike in January 2021, when approving vaccines for adults as soon as possible was the highest priority. Way back in January 2021, approving vaccines for adults as soon as possible was the highest priority because the impact of the virus was deadly. And hence the EUA, based on fewer cases and short follow-ups, was seen as a necessity. That time it was a necessity because of the negative impact of the virus. The situation is not the same now. Right now, it is not the same situation, especially when it comes to children, especially in the case of children as young as 5. Reading between the lines, what does it mean? It is not required. If you take children at this stage, vaccinating children, not required. Hence, the regulator's urgency to green light, give the approval, green light vaccines for children under the EUA route is highly questionable because they have been hasty, because they have given urgency to green light, they have given the permission when it comes to vaccines for children under the EUA route is highly questionable. When you doubt something, you question. Highly questionable, an important expression. Clinical trial data of Cobivax for children between 5 and 12 years were posted as a preprint, which is yet to be peer reviewed. Peer, an important word. What does it mean? A person of the same age, same social position, same status. On the day approval was granted, yet to be peer reviewed. Without peer review, they shouldn't have granted the permission. On the day approval was granted, trial data of Covaxin for children between 2 and 18 years were posted as a preprint in December 2021. All these sentences are to substantiate that the regulator has been hasty. The health ministry had already set a precedent. We have got recently the word unprecedented. Unprecedented, and based on that, it comes from the word precedent. Precedent means what? An earlier event or action that is regarded as an example or guide to be considered in subsequent similar circumstances. You take that as an example, and based on that, you try to do something. Then we say, based on the precedent, a typical expression. The health ministry had already set a precedent last month by clearing Corbevax for children between 12 and 14 years without first seeking the approval of the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization. They are supposed to take the approval. Without taking the approval, they set a precedent last month by clearing Corbevax for children, which clears vaccines. This particular organization clears vaccines for the National Immunization Program. They are supposed to wait for the approval. Without waiting, they got the clearance. With NTAGI clearly against approving vaccines for children, the main organization against approving vaccines for children, there is every likelihood of the expert body being ignored again. They are likely to object, and based on that, likely to be ignored again, not for the first time, perhaps the second time. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's message on April 27th, a day after the EUA, that every eligible child should be vaccinated at the earliest might prompt the health ministry to sidestep the NTAGI once more, thus departing even more from evidence based policy making. A lengthy sentence, but it talks about, based on the Prime Minister's statement or message, that, that every child should be vaccinated at the earliest. This might talks about possibility, less chances, prompt the health ministry to sidestep. Even this we have got recently. Sidestep means what? Avoid someone or something by stepping sideways. In this context, you can take it as ignore the NTAGA once more, thus departing. Depart generally goes with journey, but another meaning of the word depart, deviate from an accepted, prescribed, or usual course of action. Move away from the regular course, departing from even more from evidence-based policy making. Policy making should be based on, it has to be based on evidence, but here it talks about deviating from that. That's all about the editorial, a familiar one based on, we have done so many editorials related to COVID 19, the impact of that, vaccination, so many. And as I said, not too many words, and many words are familiar words. Now let us go to the let us go to practice questions based on exam topics. Here, instructions. I'm sure you all know the instruction, what exactly they say when it comes to error location. Read the first one and try to spot the error. Today, I haven't brought questions based on comprehension. When there are no vaccines, they will question for the delay. Now, vaccines are approved, again questioning on the validity. So you're not convinced, not happy with the editorial. The fruit vendor would rather let the fruit get spoiling than sell them for a lesser price. Nothing wrong with lesser price. No, no, nothing wrong with that. The fruit vendor would rather let the fruit get spoiling or spoiled. What will you say? I'll show the answer, but at the same time, you see some words in different colors. They they are important. The fruit vendor. What is this question about? This question about word forms. And what is the error? There is an error in the third part. What is that error? Let the fruit get spoiling is not correct. Let the fruit get spoiled. The right word form is spoiled. Don't allow that to get spoiled. And there's one word, vendor. Vendor, usually it goes with everyday English. It also goes with, no problem. It also goes with corporate, when you go to the workplace, companies. Vendor, usually a person who sells something in streets. We use the word vendor. We also use the word hawker. And the other meaning of the word vendor, if you take a big company, the company takes or buys certain things from different people or different persons or different suppliers. Here, vendor, the second meaning, the supplier. And also, you see, would rather than an important pattern. Would rather than means prefer. I would rather be here than go there. I would rather do something than read something. So, would rather than an important expression, an important pattern. Do remember that. Question number two. For us, the secretary ignoring them, hoping that the couple would finally be discouraged and go away. Stamp vendor, vendor, merchant, seller, hawker. Where is the error? Sentence number two. For us, the secretary ignoring them. No, ignored them. The secretary ignored them, hoping that the couple would finally be discouraged and go away. This is again, even this question is based on word forms. What is wrong with the word ignoring? The secretary did something. What is the verb over here? Ignore. And the context goes into the past. Based on that, the verb should be in the past form. Ignoring is not correct. It should be ignored. The secretary ignored. Then it is correct. The secretary ignored them, hoping that the couple, it goes with wife and husband, one meaning, couple of days. It means a few days, usually two. It represents two. Now let us go to question number three. The only thing that the couple worried on was whether their happiness would last forever. I think the words are not clear enough. I have to change the background color. Looks like black and white is ideal. Very good. Where is the error? There is an error in the third part. This question is based on appropriate preposition or prepositional combination. The only thing that the couple worried about was not worried on. On is not correct. It should be about. The couple worried about was the only thing that the couple worried about was whether their happiness would last forever. This word can be last, it can be last. Last adjective, last. Oh, thank you very much, Pritham. You're very diplomatic. I appreciate that. Last adjective, last one, last sentence. But last is a verb. Last, lasted, lasted. Exists for a long time. Question number four. Worried about something. What are you worried about? Conversational English, we ask that question. Someone looks a little worried. We ask the question, what are you worried about? This year, the number of counterfeit bank notes detected in bank branches was highly, thanks to efficient clerical staff. Let me tell you guys, yesterday a few students had the doubt. They wanted to know the time has been changed. They had the doubt. No, the Hindu Editorial Analysis every morning 8 a.m. Only for yesterday I had to change the time, but it is a regular time every morning 8 a.m. No, no, the number always takes a singular verb. That is not. This is again based on word form. Where is the error? There is an error in the fourth part. This year, the number of counterfeit banknotes detected in bank branches was highly. Highly is not correct. High. The number was high. The number was high. And you see something in green, grammar related. The number. There are two important phrases. The number takes a singular verb. So no error. A number takes a plural verb. This year, the number of counterfeit as prospective bankers, you have to know. I'm sure you guys know the word. Counterfeit means what? Fake, not real. Counterfeit currency, fake currency, an important word. Now let us go to the last question. Error location. When I graduated, I was the only one in my class who went to abroad to study. This question is based on common errors and also redundancy. Fake, bogus, counterfeit is a better word. That is also right, but it goes with a different context, not with currency. Currency, we say fake currency, better word, counterfeit currency. Yes, this is based on, you can say preposition, you can say redundancy, you can also say common error. What is a common error? A lot of people say, I went abroad or he went to abroad. He went to abroad, not correct. He went abroad. Here, when I graduated, I was the only one in my class who went to abroad. You should not use a preposition to here. Went abroad, it is correct. Went abroad to study. Who went abroad to study. Don't use before abroad the preposition to. And there's one word in green, only. It goes with common errors. A lot of people tend to use the word only at the end of the sentence. Not correct. You have to use the word only before whatever it describes. Common error, a lot of people tend to say, she has solved two problems only. Not correct. She has solved only two problems. Only one, only two problems. Then it is correct. That you have to recollect and consolidate. Innovative. Fine, thank you. If it is enrichment point of view, definitely you should be happy. Visually also you should be happy. Instructions, which are the phrases 1, 2, 3, and 4 given below should replace the phrase given in bold in the following sentences to make the sentence grammatically meaningful and correct. If the sentence is correct as it is and no correction is required, mark 5 as the answer. The non-aligned movement was founded in 1961 by a group of countries trying to chart an independent path freely influenced of the US and the USSR. Now we don't have the USSR. Yes. No, no, there is an error. You have to choose. Given sentence is not correct. Answer is not this one. Answer all these questions, 5 questions based on phrases. The non-aligned movement was founded in 1961 by a group of countries trying to chart an independent path free from the influence of the US and the USSR. What is the answer here? The fourth option, free from the influence of, that is correct. Standard. Option D is not visible. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. I have to change. I have decided. Today it is like I wanted to give it a try, but it is not going to work out. The letters are not distinct, and if the options are not clear, how can you choose the? How can you get the answer? Don't worry only for today, but you should be able to make out. This is what I've been telling students: phrase replacement, fillers. Before you go to the options. When you read a sentence, you have to know what is the correct option or the correct phrase or the correct word. Only then you have to go to the options and get it confirmed. We live in an age of massive income disparity, difference, and people tends to define himself and others by the wealth they possess. Very simple. Sure, sure, don't worry, I will change. I have already said that. It is not going to work out. I don't want to trouble you guys. I don't want to trouble myself. I will go back to the regular pattern, black and white. And people plural, we cannot use tense. At the outset, reject. People tending to define itself, people plural itself cannot be used. Himself, people himself not correct. People tend to define themselves, plural, this seems right. People are tend, grammatically not correct. Answer is the anyhow. Answer is a third option. What is the answer? Third option. People tend to define themselves and others by the wealth they possess. Definition based on the wealth, not based on character. Modern times, things have changed. Now let us go to question number 3. Many scientists doubts about that genetically modified crops, GM crops, will enable farmers to overcome persistent drought. Drought for a long period, no rains, dry spell, persistent, exists for a long time. First, you have to get the answer, then you have to think, ask the question, what else can I learn from this question? So, what is the answer for question number 3? No, no, it is not the first option. It is the second option. Many scientists doubts that. Scientists plural, you cannot say doubts. And here you have to focus on, you have to read the sentence completely. Many scientists have doubts about genetically modified crops will enable, then it is not correct. That's why I said you have to read the complete sentence. Many scientists doubt whether genetically modified crops will enable farmers to overcome persistent drought. Answer is the second option. Fine, no problem. Sometimes it happens. Only when you try, you come to know. If you're afraid of something, you don't try, then you cannot progress. When you try, certain things work out, certain things don't work out. Based on that, you come to know what is good, what is bad. As simple as that. And we should always experiment. We should always try new things. Whatever is new may not assure success. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. Let us go to question number 3. Doubt whether, because they doubt whether he will come, they doubt whether it will work, it will enable. Answer is the second option. Some questions you have to read the complete sentence, only then you will be able to answer. During an election campaign, voters to critically assess us does not make any sense. Exactly. The benefits of schemes suggested by candidates? No. Third option? No, not correct. No, no, it is not the third option. Yes, who is this? Thapa has got it right. It is the fourth option. During an election campaign, voters should critically assess the benefits of schemes suggested by candidates. Come a proper idiomatic expression. Yes, Madhav, nothing wrong in that. I appreciate. I really appreciate if you guys learn something here and come up with examples, that's highly appreciable. Here, answer is a fourth option. During an election campaign, voters should critically assess. Only for today, please bear with that. Only for today, tomorrow you won't have this problem. Should critically assess the benefits of schemes suggested by candidates. Today, because I was in two minds and lack of time, one more reason, I could not bring the regular pattern. Don't worry, only for. Here it is a writer's view. What is the purpose of should? It is used to advise or suggest. The writer talks about his or her opinion. During an election campaign, voters should critically assess. You should do this, you should do that. What is the function of that? The helping verb should. It is used to advise or suggest. So it talks about the same thing. What are they supposed to do? They should critically assess the benefits of schemes suggested by candidates. So haste means what? Do things in a hurry. Instant, you can say event or incident. Efficacy, something brings in the expected or desired result. Or be efficient, usually it goes with medicines, it goes with drugs. Efficacy of a particular drug. Condone, excuse, accept, pardon. Something is not good, you accept that, condoned. Desperate, badly in need of something, desperate for a job. Green lighting, giving the approval, giving the permission. Fig leaf, something that hides something else. Adolescent, a person who is in the stage of transforming from a kid to an adult. You can also think of teenage. What is teenage? 13 to 19. Peer, same age, same status. And there's one important expression you have to recollect: peer pressure. Usually people pick up bad habits because of peer pressure. Especially youngsters pick up bad habits because of peer pressure. Means pressure from friends, same age group people. Precedent, something that happened in the past, is taken as a model or as an example, and based on that, something else is done. You have to recollect the word unprecedented. Sidestep, avoid. You have got this recently. One of the editorials started with sidestepping something, ignore. Depart, two different meanings. One meaning, it goes with journey, leave a particular place, it goes with traveling. But in this context, a depart means what? Deviate from the regular path. And validate, to give authenticity, to make something correct, authentic, or something that to justify something. Validate, validation, validate. That's all for today. Thank you very much for being with me till only 8:39. Surprising, because many exercises are missing. Don't worry, only for today. And tomorrow I will take, most probably I will take this. Tomorrow is what, Saturday, I suppose. You will have the session. Chances I'm not confirming, and regular pattern. Oh, all the best to Sai Arvind. All the best. My blessings are always there. And do well. I'm sure you will already have done many exams. So I don't know how many of you are going to take. Those who are going to take, uh, I wish all of you all the best to do well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Do remember to subscribe and share.